Hey folks, welcome back to the Deron Harris podcast. I am your host, Deron Harris. This is episode 15, and today we are talking about self-care and wellness. Go do yourself. That's what I'm talking about. That's what it means. That's what the title means. Go do yourself, man. Actually, literally, go and do yourself. Now, I'm not talking about, all your medical, history and blah, 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 although I will touch on some of that because that is all part of it. But I am talking about today, doing yourself, man. What do you do to take care of yourself, to pamper yourself, to let yourself know that you care about yourself, that you love yourself? What do you do? Self-care and wellness is the topic of today. But first, I want to give some shout outs. I got a couple of shout outs I want to give today. First shout out goes to my man, Russell Westbrook. I want to give a shout out to Russell for this, for securing the bag, man. That dude, I think, got $47 million. He just opted into the last year of his contract with the Lakers. He was on Twitter singing about it. I seen him on Twitter singing about that shit, and I think that's really good for him, man. So shout out to dude. The past few years he's been getting some scrutiny or a little bit of flack over his play, but I think that Russ does definitely have some flashes of greatness, and I'm sure the Los Angeles Lakers hope that he has some flashes of greatness also, and has some newfound motivation based on the payday. So again, hats off to my man Russell Westbrook for securing the bag. Now, I got another shout out, but this is kind of a reverse shout out because I noticed, I don't know if anybody noticed at the BET Awards, the actor Jesse Smollett or whatever his dudes, the dude who paid these dudes to whoop his ass and then said it was a hate crime. This dude, he actually showed up at the BET Awards like he was that dude. Like, motherfuckers was like, yeah, come on, yeah, you good, yeah, it's okay that you did us like that, but it wasn't very well received. You know what I mean? But I guess he's trying to go through some sort of Hollywood comeback. He thinks, he's thinking he's gonna come back from hate crime. I don't know, man. I just think that what you did, maybe you might come back. Maybe, maybe I don't want to, cast shade on anybody's career or anything like that. Far be it from me to, condemn that dude on his career merit. But as far as him being a actual, good human being, fuck you, dude, because what you did was bullshit. You not only set black people back, but you set gay people back and all that shit too, man. So, I ain't got nothing positive to say about you when it comes to that. So, in that, fuck you. But I want to give you the, a shout out for having the balls to show up to the fucking to the award show. So, like you was that dude. So, you get a shout out for that. So. Moving right along though, I got today's Dope Shit Award. Now, today's Dope Shit Award is also, I have more than one recipient for the Dope Shit Award because a couple of things happened right at the end after I put the show together, but I also wanted to incorporate these things because I think they need to be said, and I didn't want to wait till the next episode after that to say them. So the first Dope Shit Award goes to this guy, man. This is absolutely amazing. I don't know if I could have done this, man. And this is why I think that it should be named it's just dope how he did it. This guy, Kevin Ford. This guy's Kevin Ford of Las Vegas. This guy has not missed a day of work in 27 years. One day he has not missed any days of work in 27 years. At fucking Burger King. This motherfucker works at Burger King for 27 years and didn't call in sick not one time. Was always at Burger King for 27 years. And you know what they gave him? The supervisor for this 27 years, they gave his ass some fucking candy. After 27 years on the job, never missing a day of work, and they give his ass candy as a reward. They need to give his ass a fucking Burger King. How about that? To reward this guy, man. But luckily for this guy's had a bunch of job offers. A lot of people have come through and said, listen, if this is we will treat you a hell of a lot. And I'm sure they would, but this is kind of where I don't get it. Despite all of that shit, this guy does not have any plans to leave his Burger King. He loves it. he's going to be content right there at Burger King. So you know what, brother, hats off to you, man. You know what I'm saying? That's truly some dope shit, bro. So I think what really was dope is there's some people he's got to GoFundMe. He's trying to buy him a house, or I think he's got like $160,000 in like a GoFundMe or something like that people have donated. Dana Carvey, I think it was Dana Carvey, or David Spade. I think it was David Spade that gave him like $5,000. They gave dude like $5 towards his future, man. So shout out to that also, man. So that I think brothers like that is a really good example, man. Motherfuckers keep saying that we ain't got no work ethic and we lazy and shit like that, and that brother right there banged it out. So I don't want to hear about that lazy bullshit. So y'all can back down off of that. Shout out to you, man. Hats off to you, and you definitely received today's Dope Shit Award. But also in conjunction with today's Dope Shit Award. Now, the second Dope Shit Award goes to, I don't know who it is, but I'm just gonna say the New York State courts, like the court system of New York State, and they really came through for a lot of people this week. They came through for a lot of young victims of human trafficking and exploitation. They came through with flying colors, man. They sentenced that Gilzane Maxwell chick. They sentenced that chick to 20 years. They sentenced her ass to 20 years, and not only that, they hit you with the both barrels, and they gave our Mr. Robert Kelly, formerly known as R. Kelly, they gave his ass 30 years, both. So combined, both of them motherfuckers got 50 years. Goodbye. And I hope that there's more. I hope they start rustling these motherfuckers up, because they're a menace. They're something that our society does not need to sustain. We don't need to have that. So that I think is a precedent, for this business. Two very high profile individuals who both shared, celebrity and, know the celebrity limelight and what it's like to be very influential. And that's what they did. They took advantage of these people. And now, as a result of their actions and behaviors, now they are paying the consequence. And I think that is absolutely dope. So the Dope Shit Award goes to not only to my man up here, the guy from Burger King, Kevin, but it also goes to the New York State courts for finding guilty two of the most lascivious motherfuckers out there. You're listening to the Darren Harris Program. Hey folks, welcome back to the program. I, of course, am your host, Darren Harris, and this is the Darren Harris Program. Right now, we're getting into earbuds. What am I listening to? I've been listening to Drake's new album, Honestly Nevermind, and honestly, I don't think it's too bad. I've kind of been enjoying some of the tracks. I've been enjoying, some of the up-tempo tracks. My wife is a house music head. She likes house music. I'm a hip-hop dude, but I can understand where a lot of hip-hop people or hip-hop heads might be disappointed in this album, but I don't think it's a bad album, and I'll tell you why I don't think it's a bad album. I think actually Drake is extremely smart for making an album like this, because, it shows his range. Of course he's still doing the falsetto Drake, but, he is trying to branch out into other genres. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's already conquered the shit out of hip-hop, and it looks like house music is like next in line to get a makeover. And I think that he is going to be a catalyst in the new genre of house music. And I think that what I think he's trying to do is, I think he's trying to, be the king of two genres. I mean, it's Drake, and he definitely has some name notoriety. And to all the house music heads out there, they may not listen to his music because they simply don't like hip hop, but they may start listening to it now simply because, now he has created some tracks that are house music driven. I mean, I know a lot of house people are like, oh, that ain't house music, but I know a lot of house music people that don't have that same feeling, that actually enjoy it. And what I really think is, although you may not enjoy it right now, what I think is about to happen is Drake is going to, I mean, look at it. It's a house music album. There's a lot of house music DJs, a lot of them, a lot of production DJs. I got a friend of mine named Frank Delore who's actually a production DJ also. And I think what's going to happen is people are going to start, all these house music DJs are going to start remixing all these songs, making, other cuts and, other banging ass remixes of this guy's album. And I think, we're just getting started, or he's just getting started in the genre. So hats off to him for venturing into unexplored territory. I wish you the best of luck. Like I said, I don't not like your album. I think it's about time that somebody tried to do something like this, or kind of flex their muscles like this. Now, we all know Drake is a hip hop dude, and he's a hip hop head, and probably always going to be a hip hop head. But it's a breath of fresh air to see a artist, go out on a limb for the entertainment sake of his fans. So, hats off to Drake for doing that. And I think that is going to conclude my earbud portion. I'm going to take a quick, fast break, and when we come back, Strain of the Week. Hey folks, today's program is being brought to you by Your Pleasures Erotic Health and Wellness Boutique. Your Pleasures has a wide variety of adult educational materials, top-notch adult novelties and clothing, real-world dating and relationship advice, and more. Pleasures, that's Your Pleasures, not only focuses on erotic pleasure and satisfaction, we aim to educate people about the health and wellness benefits of intimacy. We are here to prove that sexuality is not naughty, it's necessary. So stop by Your Pleasures, that's ur-pleasures.com, and see for yourself. That's yourpleasures.com. All right, folks, welcome back to the Darren Harris Podcast. Welcome back to the Darren Harris Podcast. Strain of the week today. What's the strain of the week today? Today's strain of the week is Sour OG Kim. Now, I was kind of shook up about this one a little bit. It is actually a hybrid. It's a hybrid between Sour OG and Sour Kim, which is cool. And they both have different properties, but like very similar properties. They accentuate each other. Like this one, like this particular strain. Well, let me just tell you about this strain because it doesn't have, Leafly didn't have this particular strain. It had the other two strains which created this strain, but it didn't have this strain listed as of yet. So I'm just going to give you what I felt about it. Of course, I felt it was dope. Definitely touches you in the head. And like I said, I lean more towards sativas anyway. I'm a sativa kind of guy. So it was everything that I needed it to be as a sativa. It kept me up. It made me productive. It made me very talkative. That was one thing that I did notice, is that it made me want to talk more, which I've had some other strains that have also done the same thing. And it was about moderate with those other strains. It did give me feeling of euphoria. I didn't get any kind of headache or anything like that from it, and I wasn't paranoid. I was kind of relaxed, as a matter of fact. It was kind of, I was up, but I was relaxed. Kind of like, it was kind of a indica-y type thing, but I was up though, where it didn't make me feel anxious or anything like that. So I didn't feel anxious at all. I was able to cope with some depression issues pretty well, and my anxiety, it didn't really, I couldn't really tell either way if it helped with any anxiety because of the medication that I'm on, because I think that the medication takes a lot of that. So, but I didn't really notice that. But I did notice that it did help with a lot of depression. We laughed a lot. Me and my wife laughed a lot. We fought a little bit, but we laughed a whole lot. So, came up with some things that we wanted to do jointly. So I'll get back to that later, but. I did notice that the buds were light and fluffy, kind of had a lot of crystals on it. It was crystally, kind of light greeny, very pungent, very citrusy smelling. Yeah, definitely won't be disappointed. So I'm not really sure where you can pick it up on Leafly or which dispensary you can get it at as of yet, only because, like I said, it didn't really have this strain. It had some other strains, but it didn't really have this strain inside. So I'm gonna try to keep you abreast, as if Leafly updates it and I'm able to find it, I will of course bring it back and let you guys know what the actual attributes to it are, as opposed to me sitting here doing my guesswork. But I guess that's where it all comes from anyways, people leaving their reviews about it. So those are some of the reviews that I have given about this strain. So I'm going to take another break, and when I come back, we're going to see what's popping this week, okay? You're listening to the Deron Harris Podcast. Hey folks, welcome back to the podcast. It's your boy Deron Harris. What's popping this week? You know what's popping this week? You are. That's what's popping this week. You are what's popping this week. Health and wellness. What is health and wellness? And more importantly, what is health and wellness to black people? I'm black people. So what is health and wellness to us? What is health and wellness to me? What do I think health and wellness now? You know, I know what you think when you're thinking about health, of course. You know, I mean, we are at a disadvantage as far as, you know, healthcare is concerned in this country. There are a lot of conditions that affect the black community adversely. You know, heart disease is the number one killer of black people, you know, followed by cancer, diabetes, stroke, you know, all kinds of peripheral artery disease, sickle cell, all kinds of stuff. You know, it's crazy what's facing us. And it's not just black people, it's people of color, Latins, Native Americans, Pacific Islanders. You know, a lot of people suffer the effects, the negative effects of health more than our white counterparts. We get sicker earlier. We get sicker more often. The illnesses progress faster. We are more severely sick when we do get sick. We have higher illness mortality rates. It's crazy. It really is crazy. The issues that face people of color. I mean, black people in particular also. It's crazy. We're less likely to have health insurance. Black children are 500% more likely to die from asthma-related complications. We have less access to healthy food. We don't really have a lot of resources. You know what I'm saying? We don't have that. So we have to take care of ourselves. We have to learn how to take care of ourselves. What is wellness? Now, I ride through a lot of white neighborhoods, and I see all kinds of things. Like I see yoga and Pilates, and, you know, there's a little wellness coach or a little cafe, and I don't really see that in more urban neighborhoods. Like, that doesn't really exist in our neighborhoods. There's not a place where, or not, and if there is, it's not very prominent, where, you know, women of color or people of color can really kind of go do yoga. We either have to go over to these other sides of town to experience those things, which a lot of us, let's face it, a lot of us aren't really going across town to take yoga class or Pilates class. We're really not on the strength of that anymore. Well, not really anyway. We're doing other things, which, you know, that's not a good or bad thing either way. It's just, I noticed that we don't necessarily have the access to wellness that our counterparts do. And that is what I want to talk about. Why do we not? And how we can increase our wellness, because it's important. Wellness is very important. You know, a lot of people, you know, we are a working society. We are a society of worker bee motherfuckers. We get out here and we work like there is no tomorrow, and we chalk our lives up to achievement, and that's what we do. But a lot of times we forget about, you know, the wellness, like if you're well or not, really. I mean, like, how many times have you heard of, you know, some guy on Wall Street, he makes millions and millions of dollars, but he jumps out of the window of the building he works in, or he puts a gun in his mouth? It's because he is unwell. It doesn't matter how much money. It has nothing to do with you achieving. It has everything to do with how well you are as a person, as a functioning human being. What is your wellness? One of the things, you know, my wife, you know, she has, you know, same issue that everybody has with their job. But one of the things that I did like about her job is they do an evaluation to where they check on the wellness of the employee. They sit down, they have a meeting, they ask her if the workload is too much. They genuinely care about her wellness. So that to me speaks volumes about the company that she works for. Even though, she may face some adverse issues at the job, they at least care about her wellness. And they've, made in her insurance package, if she ever needs to go talk to someone, she's able to go and talk to somebody, which I think is, that's fabulous. I think everybody who employs people should do that. I think everyone who employs a person should, pay them insurance for one, but two, make health and wellness checks available to them, via their insurance. So you might ask, what does wellness really look like? Like simple shit, man. Like, really think about it, man. Cut your fucking toenails. If you got Dracula feet, bro, take care of your feet. Go sit down in a chair in a little salon and have these. I don't give a fuck what you think about. Oh man, men don't go. Man, shut up with all that masculine, macho, machismo shit, man. Fucking take care of your feet, man. You think you get pussy now, man? Wait till you take care of your fucking feet. You know what I'm saying? Men crazy with it, man. We want women to have nice, pretty, pristine feet, but we got construction worker feet walking around here like fucking Bigfoot. You know what I'm saying? Take care of yourself, man. It's simple like that. If you're overgrown, go get a trim with your beard. I'm kind of guilty of that from time to time because, like if you never seen any photos of me, I got hair all over my face. So really, I try to at least keep my lip line trimmed out, so at least you could make me out, so I don't look like like Chewbacca running around here, man. You know what I'm saying? A lot of guys just, they want women to be so put together and so flawless, but they not really willing to put in the same work for themselves, man. And that's what I'm saying about wellness. Take care of yourself. Take time to sit down and meditate, man. Focus in on you. It's okay for you to tell you that you love you. It's okay to do that. But a lot of times, men, especially these Timberland wearing, thug type, yo, what's happening, cat? We don't really get down like that, my man. You know what I'm saying? We don't do that, bro. We don't do all that gay shit, dude. Nah, man, you need to get by that, dude, because that's part of the shit that's making you unwell. You know what I'm saying? So in that, you guys need to, understand that embracing wellness does not necessarily mean giving up your manhood or claiming that you're soft. It means that you are dedicated to making sure that your well-being and your mental state are functioning at its optimal performance all of the time. And that's all that really means. And if that means me going to sit down and trying to cross my legs a little bit on some yoga, then I'm going to do that. If that means that I'm going to go try and do some Pilates, I'm going to go try that. If I need to go sit on my knees and meditate a little bit to get a little bit closer to myself on the beach, then I'm going to go do that, because it's all contributing to my wellness. You know what I'm saying? So many of us, like I said, get to a point where we work, and we're always working, but we really don't know. I don't know anybody who aspires to work. You know what I'm saying? I don't really aspire to work. Well, I don't dream of work. I dream to do the things that I dream of. I dream to do the things that I love, to do those things, the things that I love. But a lot of times people put their jobs in front of a lot of the things that they love, and their wellness behind that suffers. They feel like that, their dream is lost or unattainable, and that takes a toll on that person. So, at least it did for me, you know what I'm saying? So one thing that I realized is I am a comedian, but I'm also a comedian that has not done comedy in quite some time. So I guess you could kind of say I'm a comedian that doesn't do comedy. So I thought about it. I'm suffering from certain issues, from certain depression and anxiety issues. And I noticed that one of the things that contributed to that is me stopping doing stand-up. I stopped doing comedy for a long time to focus on work and paying bills and paying for my children and making sure I was making a way and, just becoming significant as an earner and doing that. But what I did is I removed part of a part of me that made me well, a part of me that made me feel good. And what that did is it depressed me. You know what I'm saying? One of the things that I know that I was put here on the earth was to make sure that people do well, or people are doing good, or people are happy. You know what I'm saying? And part of what I use for that is humor. You know, I like to make people laugh. I like to make people smile. Anytime that they're in my presence, I want to make sure that everyone has a good time, because their wellness or their happiness is good for me, and it's wellness to me. So in that, by me not doing comedy, I gave up a large part of that, and I tried to supplement it a lot, you know, by becoming a restaurant manager, and I was you know, using parts of that, and sometimes to a degree it worked, but you know, a lot of times it got in the way, largely, especially when I had people that were disgruntled, or you know, people who didn't want to show up to work, just all kinds of situations that really kind of took a lot of, you know, the humor aspect of what I loved, and it really kind of just made it a mundane task, and it kind of just pimped out, you know, hoed out my humor, so to speak, or pimped out my humor, which wasn't well for me either. So what I did for my particular wellness is I live in St. Petersburg, Florida. I started doing comedy a bunch of years, 25, 30 years ago, at a place called Side Splitters Comedy Club in Tampa, and that's where I learned how to do comedy. So I hadn't been back in that room in a long time, and I had done some stuff a couple of years ago, you know, there. Maybe I did a set there one time, you know, just to kind of get my feet wet, but I really wasn't ready to make the comeback or whatever it was. So I decided to kind of hold off while I got some other things. I worked, you know, and put that off yet again. So my wife encouraged me just recently. She said, why don't you go in there and why don't you tell him how you feel? Why don't you tell him what your ideas are? So I did. I went in there this past week, and I said to him, I said, listen, man, this is where I started doing comedy. I was 19 years old here. I was a doorman here. I saw Ray Romano and all these famous comedians before they were famous right here in this room on this stage. I used to sweep the floors here, you know, wipe down the tables and bless the tables and clean the dishes and sweep the parking lot right here in this building. I did it for a bunch of years, and I told him, I said, I loved every minute of it. And because of this place, I met a lot of good people, and I cherish this place in my heart. And if there would be anything that I could do here to be an asset to this place, you know, I would jump at the chance. So he was very receptive to it, and we made a really good connection. He said, come on around the club, man. We'd love to have you. I use a lot of local talent. You know, please come on in, you know, and we'd like to have you around. So he told me to start coming in, which was great. And that actually what it did is it made me feel good, and which was good for my wellness for myself. It gave me positive feeling, it gave me hope, it gave me drive, it gave me motivation, it uplifted me as opposed to hold me down. And that's what we need. We all need these victories in our lives to feel significant. You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, if you're constantly losing, you're feeling like life is stacked up against you and you never have any victories, you know, you feel that, you know, you don't have any reason to go on, you know, and that's where we get a lot of, negative effects of society. So it is very important, but at the same time, it's very important to also go and stand up. You know, it took a lot of strength for me to go and stand up, and that's one thing that I've always been I've always wrestled with was going and asking for my opportunity. So I let a lot of that slip away through my fingers, and I've promised myself that I wouldn't let that happen to me anymore. You know, so from now on, you know, I'm absolutely dedicated to you know, whatever it is, just like this podcast. You know, I never thought I could do it, and here I am, episode 15 in, and I don't have any intention on stopping. So I want to use this podcast as a straight up benchmark to push myself forward as far as my wellness and my health are concerned, to make sure that I am around to experience these things. You know, me and my wife, we are, you know, this coming Friday, I mean, not Friday, but this coming Sunday, I'll be 55. I mean, not 55, 52. I'm jumping already ahead because I'm looking at trying to get into these little 55 and over communities where they charge less rent than everybody else, because rent is astronomical now. But, you know, I'm getting ready to be 52 years old, and my wife and I are talking about, we've been trying to buy a house, but the more that we think about it, we may not buy a house, we might buy an RV, you know, and go and try and find some fulfillment. We both like to travel. We both like to experience new things, you know, And that's where we are right now. We're trying to outfit our wellness together, and because, at the end of the day, it's us navigating it together, and we have to support each other's wellness. We have to support each other's health and wellness. And that's one of the things I love most about my wife, the fact that, she, more so than anybody I've ever dated or been with in my life, has taken a real, serious approach to my health. Not just hers, but mine too. Like motherfucker, you need to go to the doctor. Did you call this? Did you make this appointment? Did you? And she is on me like, she's on some straight up my ass about it. And that's what I need. I need, otherwise, men get into the man thing. I don't care, so on and so forth. I'm Superman. Ain't nothing bothering me. But, later on down the line, all of a sudden we got this condition and we don't know how it happened. Well, I'll tell you how it happened. We just neglected ourselves our whole lives. So, shout out to my wife for really taking a significant liking or a significant role in, helping me maintain my health. I'm not, I got a little bit of love handles, but she'll still sit up and talk about, hey, you can't eat so much bread, or hey, you need to put the sugar down, even though we ate candy for dinner last night. But we have to, get to the point where we are more conscious about our health and wellness. You know what, black folks, I'm going to say it. Heart disease is the number one killer of black people. Let me say it again. Heart disease. Let's say it together. Heart disease is the number one killer of black people. Heart disease. You know what I'm saying? Think about that. It's serious. Think about that. That means a lot. Heart disease is going to kill a lot of us. You know what I'm saying? What can we do to combat that? What can we do? Change our diets, be more conscious about our health, and definitely be more conscious about our wellness. Go to yoga and Pilates. If you're interested in it, do it. Don't let people talk you out of it. Don't let somebody's negative comments about something that they don't understand talk you out of becoming a more healthy, productive person. Don't let that happen to you, because that happens. Peer pressure is a motherfucker, man. People will be like, that shit is stupid. That shit is corny. Yeah, that shit is stupid. And then all of a sudden, you miss your opportunity because somebody thought the shit that you was doing was stupid, when actuality, they were afraid of it. And all other actuality, it was probably the best thing for you and them. So don't let people talk you out of your blessings. I know you've heard that before, and that's the truth. Don't let people talk you out of that shit. So, definitely be more conscious about your health and your wellness. It is imperative. It is paramount. You know what I mean? Because other than that, we're just not going to be here no more. We're not going to be healthy no more. We're not healthy as a people. You know what I mean? Black people. I'm speaking on the realm of black people of color. We're not healthy as people, so we need a leg up. We don't get the Whole Foods and we don't get the fresh markets in our neighborhood. We got to drive to that shit, and a lot of us ain't really thinking about driving to that shit because Walmart is around the corner. The places where we get, the quick fast foods that's not really doing us the real shit. Because if you don't think that the shit that you put in your mouth has anything to do with your wellness or your health and your mood, your state of mind, you got another thing coming, because it has everything to do with it. So, be conscious about what you're putting in your mouth. I eat a lot of sugar. Well, I really don't eat a lot of sugar. I eat sugar when I should eat sugar, when I want to eat a piece of cake. But it's not like I'm, everything I put in my mouth. Like I drink soda 10 times a day. I drink all water, really. Every now and then I may have a juice. I might have some juice with a little sugar in it. And if it's a, willy-nilly day, I might have some Coke, a sip, so I'm not really getting down on it like that. So, I try and do stuff to maintain my consciousness about my health. And it's high time that all of us get down and start doing that. So, because I care about you guys. So I think that's going to do it for what's popping this week, which is health and wellness. And I really want everybody to take this seriously, because, there's nothing fun about being unhealthy. It's nothing fun about being unhealthy. You know what I'm saying? If you need some resources, black folks, and everybody has resources, but here's one. You can reach out to nblch.org. That's the National Black Leadership Commission on Health. Okay, nblch.org. Okay, look it up, man. Look it up. Don't shit yourself. Don't not look it up. Don't say this shit is corny. Go look it up, because it's actually very, very informative. It's helpful, and it can help you with your health. Because I care about you even if you don't care about you. Okay, so listen, I'm going to take a couple minutes again. I'm going to take a break to pay some bills, and when I come back, we're going to do relationship goals. You listening to the Deron Harris Podcast. Hey folks, welcome back to the Deron Harris Podcast. My dog is over there. I guess he's dreaming his ass off. Hey babe. Hey babe. Hey babe, I'm talking to you. Oh, I didn't know you were in a meeting. Oh, never mind. She's in a meeting. So I didn't know she had a meeting, so she, I don't know if she's got to talk or anything like that. I hope she doesn't have to talk here in a minute. I'm going to go ahead and get through this so so she can continue on with her meeting at her job, because like I said, we here at the Harris household, we work from home, and she works like a motherfucker. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Okay. Well, last week, on relationship goals, the goal was to connect more with my dad, and I did. I had a really, really good conversation with him, because like I said, me and my wife are thinking about purchasing an RV as opposed to a conventional house to find our happiness. So I talked to my dad, because I remember as a kid, my dad used to take us to Colorado for camping trips, me and my two sisters. He would, scoop us up and take us out to, Estes Park, Colorado, which is an absolutely amazing place. Shout out to Estes Park, Colorado. It's beautiful. Haven't been there in a bunch of years. Maybe I'll get there sometime or another. Anyway, so we sat down and we had a really good conversation about it, and he gave me his advice on it, and I thought it was wonderful advice. And I look forward, I have a birthday coming up here next week, so I'm looking forward to going to Orlando, which is where my father lives. So I'm going to probably head over to his house maybe one of these days and see him for my birthday and give myself a dose of my dad. So I was able to like I said, really sit down and connect with my dad on a different level, as a traveler. And I basically, let him know that, his travels and his adventures basically inspired me to, carry on with my own. So I had a good time talking. We had a good conversation. We talked for a while, and I plan to, continue this trend of talking to my dad, because he's awesome. So, all right. And that was last week's goals. This week's goals come on the heels of a disagreement that my wife and I had, and that but that we've gotten through. It made me think about a lot of things, and it also made her think about some things. And really what it is this week's goal is which you have to incorporate, and this is probably very obvious, is don't take things too seriously. Don't take it too seriously. It is not the end of the world. You know what I'm saying? It's not the end of the world. You know what I'm saying? If you have an argument, it's not the end of the world. You have a little bit of a disagreement about, some ranch dressing, whether or not you like it or not. It ain't the end of the world. You know what I'm saying? Take a couple steps back, take a couple breaths, sit, talk 15 minutes. It'll change your life. You know what I'm saying? Not to say, things won't be emotionally charged sometimes, because, they are in relationships, especially, any relationship with any longevity, it's going to have some issues. So you definitely want to make sure at the end of the day that you're not too serious. You want to make sure that you get your point across, but you don't want to make sure you want to make sure that you don't take things too seriously or too far over the edge, because you don't want to call each other out of your names. You don't want to threaten to leave, or that's you never should threaten the person to leave. If you're gonna do that, you might as well say the relationship is over, because that you're always, that person that you're with is always gonna have in the back of their mind that you could leave them at any minute. So you don't want to ever threaten that shit. You know what I'm saying? Don't ever say that. Don't ever say that. You know what I'm saying? So, you have to also determine. There's a couple things you need to determine, and you need to determine what the difference between these three things are. You need to determine the difference between emotional unavailability, lack of care for your issues or needs, or just plain oblivious. Now, those are three things. Emotional unavailable means I'm just not, I see that it just doesn't affect me that way. And that's one thing. Lack of care for your partner's issues or need. Now, that is something completely different. You know what I'm saying? That person is just basically, I see your emotion, but I really just don't care about them. Emotionally unavailable just means I can't really think about that right now. If people don't care, it just straight up says that that just means they don't care. And just plain oblivious. Just plain oblivious means sometimes people don't know. They don't get it. And sometimes you have to put them on the path. You got to let them know what it is. You got to say, hey, man, look, it's this. You know what I'm saying? I need to let you know this. I'm not trying to come down on you. I'm not trying to be mad or angry, argue, but I need you to listen to these things. And, it's all in really how you approach people. Sometimes you approach people, gingerly, and they snap your head off, and then for that, like Anthony Robbins, you got to ask yourself another question. What else could this mean? You know what I'm saying? They taking something out on me that doesn't need it? What else could it mean? Do I need to leave this person alone for a little while? What is it? You know what I'm saying? But you need to start to learn to identify these three different states of a person: emotional unavailability, lack of care for your feelings, or just plain oblivious. If people are just plain oblivious, you can inform them. And a lot of times, sometimes people just don't know that they're doing these things. And if you tell them, they're like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know I was doing it. And then that way they can make the necessary adjustment. But lack of care, it doesn't matter how you shout it out, how you put it in their face. They just don't care about your feelings, your issues, or your needs. And then that right there, you need to make a decision whether or not you want to stay with this person at all. And emotional unavailability also is to me can be a red flag when somebody is emotionally unavailable to you, because it does mean that they cannot give you something that they are looking for, which is the support, is the support that you need, that they are understanding or want to understand or prioritize your feelings. If they're unavailable, like I said, unavailability to me means I'm not here for that. I'm here for all this, but I'm just unavailable for that. When in a relationship, you have to be emotionally available to that person, because a lot of your relationship depends, the survival of your relationship depends on that availability. And it depends on, the evaluation of your partner's emotions, and the stability of those emotions based on, the quality of your relationship. So these things are very important. So this week, the goal is to not take things so seriously and analyze these different aspects of your relationship, the emotional unavailability, the lack of care for your partner's feelings, or just plain oblivious. Which one are you? Are you emotionally unavailable? Do you care or do you not care about your partner's issues or needs, or are you just plain oblivious? And it's okay to be any of those. But if you're the first one, if you're emotionally unavailable, then you owe it to that person to either A, let them know so they can make their own decisions, or B, you need to make the decision to not be around, or make sure that those people are okay with you being emotionally unavailable. Number two, if you are that person that you have lack of care for that person, for your partner's issues or needs, that means you don't really care about your partner, and that person probably shouldn't be your partner, and you should probably leave that person alone. And they should probably leave you alone too. And third, if you're just plain oblivious, we all get there. If we got so much going on that we just really don't understand, or we really don't realize what we're doing from 1 minute to the next. And sometimes our actions get misconstrued into other things, which sometimes may need a little bit of explanation. So, so if you're that person, that's at least endearing, and at least you can work through that. That's not so, it doesn't seem so severe to your partner. So And with that being said, I think that is going to do it for this week's episode of the Deron Harris podcast. I want to thank you guys for joining me again. And like I said, I'm going to try to keep it going, man. I mean, if you guys are, I guess you got, I mean, if you're, the reason I'm here doing it is because I'm told people are digging it. So I do thank you very much for tuning in, whoever you are, wherever you are. And please continue to tune in, like, and share with all of your friends. You can follow me on any social media platform. I am Deron Terrae, Terae, Deron, Terraeharris on Facebook. I am Deron T. Harris on Instagram, and I am at Deron Harris on Twitter. So you are more than welcome to follow me on any of my social media platforms. You'll get show updates and as well as what's really been going down in my life with me and my wife and our daily adventures. And I'd like to thank, of course, I'd like to thank my wife. I'd like to thank my listeners and my best friend and producers for making the Deron Harris podcast possible for all of you and also for me as well. So I think that's going to do it for me. So I guess until next week, I'm going to sign off and go do some cool shit, man. You know, I think that's what I'm going to do now. I think we might actually go look at some RVs. I don't know. So this has been the Deron Harris podcast, folks. Talk to you next week. Peace.